Well, welcome back to another painful episode of Exhaust Sports Auto. It took me forever to set up this camera just right for this car, but welcome nonetheless to the Mazda Miata CX-5. This is the 2019 model, and once again, I am at Capital Mazda of Cary. They did let me do this review for you guys, and if you want, I will leave all their information down in the description box below so you can check them out. You know, if you're interested in this particular car that I'm driving, it's a brand new car, the Miata, and they have other vehicles as well. With that, let's get started with the review. Hopefully the audio is okay, but I am doing this review top down because that's the right way to do it. At least I'm going to start off like that. Now, because I'm probably never going to get a chance like this again, I am just going to put the top up so I can save the audio of this, and this won't be a waste of my time or yours. Now, this Miata is, of course, a manual, and it is a 2019, so it's got all the nice little juicy changes that you like. And first thing, I'll just say this manual is absolutely perfect. I absolutely love this manual, but before we get into that, I want to address the title of this video. Japan's 911, because that's basically what this car is. You know, there's nothing else like it on the road. This is the only car of its type, and the price of this is fully justified because of that. You know, this was a car that Mazda created. Obviously, this wasn't around as long as the actual 911. However, you get what I'm trying to say here. It was perfected over the years, just like that car. And it always stayed true to what it was. You know, it never changed. You know, it never became something that it wasn't. They had a goal of making a light, nimble sports car, and they kept at it. This particular model, this ND Miata, is actually lighter by like 100 pounds than the actual NC Miata, and that's with all the safety features, the modern day regulations, all that stuff. So it's really impressive that they did that. And this generation looks absolutely stunning. This is such a beautiful car, front to back. I love the stance of this thing. You know what I mean? Like, it is such a gorgeous car. It's so small, but it's got so much swagger behind it. You know what I mean? It is so easy to drive this thing. I love the kind of square nature of this. It's so easy to place this. I mean, it's got perfect 50-50 weight distribution. This is such an improvement. Like, I just love this car so much. I can't get over it. How gorgeous it is. Like, the way it was able to advance itself over the previous generation, it's also very impressive. But looks aside, let's get into the actual drive of it. This car is very easy to drive. Anybody get into this and have a lot of fun with it. This manual is an absolute breeze. I was able to get used to it as soon as I got into the car. It's so notchy feeling. I love it. And heel toe downshifting is no problems in this. The clutch uptake is really easy too. And that's one of my most favorite things. When the clutch is predictable, it just makes the whole manual driving experience that much more easy and enjoyable too. Now, I'm sure a lot of you want to know this, but how does it pull off the line? I mean, the biggest complaint I think people make is that, oh, I can go get a Mustang GT or a Camaro for the amount of money as a Miata. Well, this actually pulls extremely well. Because it's the 2019 model, it does have a power boost over the previous generation. The previous car had about 155 horsepower. This has like 181 and like 3 more torque. It's at like 151 foot-pounds of torque. I know those numbers don't sound like a lot, but I swear, I mean, this thing weighs as much as a shoebox. Like, it weighs nothing. So those horsepower figures are more than enough to get this thing rolling. I mean, it does 0 to 60 in under like 6 seconds. I mean, if you care about that. This car isn't about that, but it does feel extremely peppy, very energetic, and very rev happy, of course. And I have to apologize. I absolutely chose the this is the worst place to test drive a car. I'm just filled with traffic lights and idiots around me. So I apologize for that. It's not really making this car that much more fun. But the good thing is, because I'm driving in traffic, I can tell you how surprisingly nimble it is. It is so easy to place on the road. It's never intimidating. Yes, with this particular model, there's, you know, some blind spots and things of that nature. However, it's still extremely easy, I swear. Nobody really should really have any issues driving this in and out of traffic. I mean, it was the type of car that you just get in it, drive and just have fun. So power is great, and the handling, of course, is fantastic. A lot of that has to do with the fact that this has a legitimate suspension setup. You know, it's got a double wishbone suspension in the front and a multi-link suspension in the rear. So it feels absolutely incredible and planted. It only has a 205 series tire in all four corners. However, that's really all it needs because it feels fantastic otherwise. You know, for the ND Miata, you know, the steering is electric. From the NC Miata, it's no longer hydraulic. However, it feels fantastic. I'm currently a fan of how electric power steering feels nowadays. It feels very natural. And the overall wheel feels extremely nice as well. Like, it's got a nice leather wrap to it. And, you know, this is obviously the fully loaded model, so of course it's going to have leather treatment all around. So I love the steering. I love the way it pulls. I mean, this is the perfect amount of power for the roads. The main reason why I wanted to try this car out is because I knew it was the perfect street sports car. I mean, you can have so much fun under the speed limit, and that's really the charm of this. I mean, yeah, those high horsepower cars are great, but you're gonna get busted in like third gear doing like 80 miles an hour. I mean, you're pretty much breaking every speed limit in third gear in those cars. It's so suffocating to drive those cars. This, you never feel stressed to driving this, and that's one of the best parts about it. It's just really rewarding to drive and to be able to master this small little car, because if you can master this, it makes driving the more high horsepower cars doable, if you will. This is a rear wheel drive driving experience that people don't have to feel intimidated by. You know, your reflexes can easily catch this, even if you're a beginner driver. Now, how's the refinement of it? It's actually extremely comfortable, to be honest. A lot of people were saying it's pretty bouncy, and yeah, over the really rough stuff, it can be. However, in day-to-day driving, this is actually very daily drivable. It's not bad at all. So this is really turning out to be like the perfect little sports car, right? Well, you know, that's kind of why it is. They've sold over 1 million of these things over the time that it's been out. So it's one of the most successful sports cars for a reason. It's a great feeling car, it truly is. People constantly look at this thing. It does grab attention, and for good reason. I mean, it's a fantastic looking car, and the people who buy this, they're really going to be enjoying a one-of-a-kind type of car. I mean, no Mustang, no Camaro is ever going to feel like this. I mean, those cars are just so much more brawny feeling. You're not going to get this light, nimble feel out of really any other car. And yeah, there's the FRS and stuff like that, but the engine in this sounds so much better and it feels so much more lively than that car. So there's that. This is definitely, you know, if you're concerned about the quietness of the car, this is obviously going to be quieter than the soft top, but you know, a lot of people are saying that, you know, if you want a more lively rear end, go for the soft top. You know, I couldn't really tell you because I haven't driven it, but a lot of other people have been telling me that there's really no actual difference between the two. So, you know, I don't really see there being a huge difference. So overall, what are my final thoughts driving the Mazda Miata? Well, it's everything that you would expect it to be. It handles extremely well. It's very peppy for what it is. I mean, the only time you'll ever seek more power is like on the top end when you're on the highways or something, but overall, most people are really going to love this experience. It feels genuinely incredible, and it's able to deliver the driving experience because of all the high quality suspension components, all that's being fitted to this car. And they can only do that because they sell other vehicles like the CX-5 and the Mazda 3. That's why those cars are starting to use, like, you know, like the Mazda 3 is starting to use like a torsion beam suspension setup, and you know, that's for good reason, so they can actually make more profit, so they can continue to keep cars like this alive. So with that, that's pretty much going to conclude my driving experience with the Miata. Absolutely loved it, really enjoyable. Let's take a look at that interior and see what that's all about. Okay. Well, Getting inside of this petite little beast is not the easiest thing in the world. However, you don't complain. You never complain about that because there's nothing else quite like this. This car drives the way it does because of its low, petite stature that it has. It is actually so low to the ground. I mean, at least this feels special every time you get in it, because I've driven like these BMW M models, like the M240 and stuff like that. There's nothing special that I feel about that car. I mean, when I get into those things, it just feels like you stepped inside of a regular 3 Series. The step in height is about, you know, like a normal car. I mean, it's low slung. It feels like a coupe. It's kind of tight in here, but that's all the things that make this interior space special, and I love that. I hope it never changes. Now, this interior, yes, it's a little sports car, and it's not insanely expensive. However, this interior, just like other Mazdas, feels very special. I understand that this is the fully loaded Grand Touring model, and there's like, you know, leather treatments all over, like the seats, this door panel. However, you know, the layout of it is excellent. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a very minimalistic design that they went with here. That's mainly to reduce driver distractions, basically. Yes, there's a little screen here, but what they've done is they gave this car the smallest screen that they make. And I think that's really smart because it doesn't take up that much of your space here. It's just a very driver-focused cabin that I think people in this genre are really gonna appreciate. But I'll tell you the main thing that I love about this interior, this color-matched like door panel treatment on the upper top here. I love that. No other car has that. This is such a unique and special car because of these little accents and features that this car has. It just makes it feel like a much more special place. Whoever thought of this, brilliant. I absolutely love that. It still has that same metallic finish that the outside paint has. Just a gorgeous car. So if you got the red car, this part would be red. I love that. And there's red stitching all across. This car obviously is fitted with the Bose sound system, which sounds pretty good, and there's actually speakers mounted on your headrest because this is a convertible car, so you're going to want the sound kind of up close to your ear. So that's really smart design right there. Just really interesting. You know, this is like Mercedes-Benz stuff going on here, you know what I mean? Like, this is just, there's a lot of premium touches here, and yeah, this is like 30 grand, I get that, but you know, for that price, you're definitely getting all your money's worth for sure. Now let's move on to more of the driver-centric things. I'll talk actually first about these seats. Really comfortable seats. It's actually one of the more comfortable Mazda seats that I've been in. I actually really like this. This overall driving experience is actually pretty comfortable too, which is quite shocking because some people have said this is, you know, kind of rattly and, you know, not that comfortable, but I find this Grand Touring model to be excellent. There is, however, you know, like the club models and stuff like that with the more aggressive suspension tunings and stuff like that. That will probably ride a little bit more harsh, but whichever Miata you get, I think you're still gonna love it. I think the purity of this is really what's gonna sell you on it, but it helps that it's a very comfortable coupe too. The shifter, of course, amazing. This is similar to like the Golf shifters, actually. I really like this round shape. Everything is just, the pedal placement, I mean, you can heel toe like however you like in this, you know, either, you know, blip it with your toes or actually with your heel. Everything is just set up perfectly for driving. Like I said, in the driving segment, it's really nice to grip onto it. There's a nice leather steering wheel. It's overall like a nice premium feel to everything that you touch. Even this handbrake here feels really nice. Now, infotainment, classic Mazda. I mean, it's kind of like that older generation. However, it still works great. I like the way this works with the scroll wheel. I've said this multiple times. And the scroll wheel has a great little click to it. Nice tactile feels like in all Mazdas. Nice little clicky feel, similar to Audi's actually. I always like to mention that. Climate control, 100% separated from the screen. So I really like what they've done here as far as the interior goes. Nice little treatments and touches all around to give that premium feel while still remaining simplistic and true to its nature. So with that, let's check out the boot and end this review off. Now, I really do apologize, but I did forget to mention I'm about 5'11" and I fit in this car just fine. You know, it's a really important thing. A lot of people like to take this thing out to a track. Anybody 6 feet and under, super comfortable in here. But anything above like 6'2", 6'3", you can fit, but you know, if you had a helmet on, I don't think so. But that's kind of the realities of it. This is a smaller car and you just need to sit in it for yourself to see if you can fit. Anyway, the boot. Now, this is the RF model, the retractable kind of target top. That does mean that the boot space is a bit compromised. I mean, it's a small car. I mean, of course it's gonna be a little bit compromised, but if boot space is of a concern to you, I think the soft top probably has a little bit more space. However, you're not buying this for space or anything like that. You're buying this for the driver pleasure of it. I mean, this is probably gonna be a second car for you. I really wouldn't be too concerned about this, but it's still a pretty sizable trunk. I mean, you could fit maybe a carry-on back here. Golf clubs, I don't know, that might be a bit of a stretch, but again, this is your second car. You're probably gonna have another one. And you know, I wouldn't really be too worried about this. The only like practicality concern I would have is, you know, being able to fit inside, but again, just see for yourself. One interesting thing to note is that, you know, the trunk release button is down here. I wish it was in a more obvious position, like in the middle. You kind of have to do some digging and searching for that, but whatever, not a big deal. Overall, fantastic car. Love the looks, love the petite stature of this. It's so small, but it's got this exotic look to it. Really gorgeous. But let's get into the conclusions now. So finally, my thoughts about driving this Miata. I love this car. I've actually been yearning for this car for a very long time. I really want to purchase this car, but I'm in no position to. However, I love it that much. This is one that I would love to have in my garage one day. It's, again, you know, there's a lot of other great sports cars out there. People are, oh, you can get an M3 or like a Porsche or like an old 911 or something for how much this costs. But you have to realize, I mean, who's gonna pay for like the brake job that costs like $8,000? Just to maintain it and keep that thing on the road? Like, who's gonna do that? That's the thing that nobody thinks about with these M cars and these Porsches and stuff like that. This, you can buy it, you can afford it, it's brand new, comes with a warranty, and all the parts on this are extremely cheap because it's been out for a while. You know, the thing gets great gas mileage, like almost 30 mpg if you baby this thing around the city. It's just really impressive, and it's just that daily drivable sports car that won't break your bank, basically. You can own this for years to come and not have to worry about it. Now for 2019, of course, they made a ton of great changes. You know, that motor, that 2-liter engine, that's really the highlight here. You know, 181 horsepower, 151 foot-pounds of torque. Those are some pretty legit numbers, and you know, I'm not joking about that. It feels really sprightly and quick in the road, and you know, most people driving this really shouldn't have any issues with power, honestly. This is far more enjoyable to drive because of its rear-wheel drive nature than the Veloster R-Spec that I owned. That was a really fun car, but I think this is just more of that organic driving feel that is missing nowadays. Plus, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, it's 30 grand. Well, it looks like it's 70 grand. I mean, that's just how gorgeous this thing looks. It's almost got that Alfa Romeo look to it, very almost Italian look to it. That I really like, and a lot of people can really appreciate. People do take notice to it. You get heads turning. I mean, it's really a gorgeous car that's gonna look great in anybody's driveway. Finally, you know, the handling is superb. I mean, that's what this thing is known for. That's why you buy this thing in the first place. It's grade A handling, you know, double wishbone up front, multi-link in the back. I mean, some cars costing twice as much as this doesn't even have double wishbone suspension, so that's something to keep in mind. And the fact that this thing doesn't ride like absolute garbage, this does not feel like a tin can. It feels very good to drive on the road. I mean, you have to have this thing on like the roughest pavement for you to feel something in here. Hard top, soft top, whatever you choose, you're gonna have an absolute blast driving this thing around. So with that pretty much concludes my review. Once again, I want to thank Capital Mazda in Cary for letting me do this review and the other cars I reviewed for you guys. If you want to check out the CX-5, the Mazda 3, or the Mazda 6 reviews I did, I'll leave cards up on the screen and you can check those out. With that, guys, that's pretty much going to be the end of this review. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.